Hey, it's Hunt. You found Hunt on Saints. We're talking black and gold football. Do us a favor. Hit the like button, share your comments below, and hit that subscription button so you can get all of our content. Enjoy. Football weekend starts off tonight inside the Dome. It's Thursday Night Football. It is Sean Payton and the Denver Broncos against some of the New Orleans Saints. Luke Johnson will be there. He covers the Saints for The Advocate. Luke, how we doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing a whole lot better than the Saints are doing right now.
I don't even know how to have a serious conversation about this, Luke. Like, I'm going to talk later in the show about how 2 weeks ago I said I don't really care. I don't want to hear about injuries because everybody's got injuries and it's just a tired excuse. And I'm just going to put my foot in my mouth and be like, I can't honestly expect the Saints to go out there with this group of humans and compete at a high level in the NFL. Am I just out of bounds?
Not entirely. I mean, I think there's a chance that it's a decently close game, just because I think the Saints defense got embarrassed last week, and I think Denver doesn't have a very good offense. They have a chance to keep them to like a low scoring game, but I don't think it's going to be fun. I'll tell you that right now. And I have a hard time seeing like a path for the Saints offense to put up enough points against what is really one of the best defenses in the NFL. I mean, they're like top 10 in every metric, no matter which way you cut it, whether it's like the traditional stuff or they're like top 4 in both scoring and total defense, or it's the like the advanced metrics like EPA per play. They're top 5 in passing, rushing, total. It's they're really, really good. And this is a bad time for them to come into town for the Saints.
I mean, what is the pep talk for Spencer Rattler here other than toss it to 41? I mean, what's the goal here for Spencer Rattler?
Don't turn it over. Don't turn it over. Yeah, I mean, just like over and over again, just like hey, be careful with the football. Like, don't make these huge mistakes. Like, see what happens if you're just trying to play a very efficient game. But like, I don't think they can just throw him out there and be like, hey, take over the game with Bub Means and Mason Tipton and Cedric Wilson as your receivers. And I'm certain that Denver is going to be doing everything in its power to keep Alvin Kamara under check, which is probably not going to be that hard considering they're still probably going to be missing their whole interior of their offensive line. I mean, it's just like it's like a terrible situation to drop Spencer Rattler into. And I think the main goal for him tonight has to be to take care of the football and play as efficient as possible, and try not to make these huge mistakes that can just let the game get way out of hand.
Let's talk about pass catching options here. I guess just start at the top and kind of where you think that order goes.
I think it probably goes Alvin Kamara, Juwan Johnson, Foster Moreau, Bub Means.
Okay.
So, like, your number one receiver tonight is your fourth pass catching option, I think. Pat Surtain isn't playing for Denver, but I think their secondary has been really good besides him.
Yeah.
Riley Moss, I think he's in his second year from Iowa. He's been really solid. I think Levi Wallace might be their other corner. He's been pretty good. I mean, they're rock solid, man. And I just have a hard time seeing like the Saints winning one-on-ones against these guys with what they're throwing out there. I don't think they had a very good number 3 receiving option behind those top 2 guys, which is why like nobody has caught any passes to this point. Now you're asking those guys to be number 1 and number 2. I just think it's going to be a lot of like Juwan Johnson in the slot. You try to get Alvin Kamara the ball in his hands out of the backfield as a pass catcher. And I just have a hard time seeing like those receivers like stepping up and having a huge game. I'd love to be proven wrong on that, because it would at least be an entertaining game tonight. But you're asking a lot out of these guys that haven't been in this position before.
All right, let's talk about the Saints defense. You mentioned that embarrassment. That was a little jarring in the second half, quite frankly. What did it look like in the press box?
Yeah, I mean, it was hard to watch. It's, I think, the worst defensive performance I've seen this is my 7th season covering the team. I know people have kind of complained about Dennis Allen's defenses in the past, giving up explosive plays, and they've had stretches where they haven't been very good, and you'd expect them to be good because for the most part they have been. That was just like a complete and total letdown in the second half. And it wasn't like Tampa was doing anything crazy. they were just breaking tackles or making Saints defenders miss over and over and over again. I mean, most of their 594 yards came after several missed tackles. I think the Saints had 16 in that game. And some of those missed tackles were potential sacks in the backfield. Some of them were, the Chris Godwin 55-yard touchdown run. They had him probably dead to rights for like a 4-yard gain. It turns into a 55-yard touchdown. I mean, it was embarrassing. For a defense that they get a special teams touchdown, they get 3 interceptions in the span of like 5 possessions. For them to give up 51 points in that type of game it's not as rare as I thought it was. I looked up, there's a bunch of teams who've scored 50 points and have had 3 or more turnovers in a game, but like I don't know. It felt like so out of character for this team, and I thought they were going to have a bounce back last week. So like it would make sense for them to have a much better performance tonight. Denver's been kind of shaky offensively. I think Bo Nix, outside of his ability as a scrambler, has been really kind of underwhelming as a rookie quarterback. He's a guy who feels pressure before it kind of gets there. You could see an avenue for the Saints to have a bounce back game, but I mean, I'm going to have to see it before I'm willing to bank on it,
For sure. I mean, looking at this defense, it's certainly healthier than the offense. Werner, what else are they missing here?
I mean, that's about it.
Okay.
They'll have their full secondary. Willie Gay should be out there next to Demario Davis. Even they might be missing Colin Saunders tonight. But I don't think that's a huge loss if he can't play. So I mean, pretty much full strength. So like they have to have a good game tonight because they have no excuses. The offense has every excuse in the world. The defense, I mean, they've got guys dealing with stuff for sure. I think it's pretty evident. Demario Davis is playing through something. He's not fully healthy out there. Tyron has missed a lot of time, which is it's different. He's played like 99% of the snaps each of his first 2 seasons in the Saints uniform. But like they need to produce. Like this is the side of the ball that we all kind of expected to be the backbone of this team. And if the offense could be good, the Saints could be good because the defense is going to keep them competitive. If the defense is just going to be bad, they're going to be a bad football team. Even when they get some of their guys back.
And so I think that's the storyline, right? It's like, okay, you got all this stuff on the side that we'll talk about here in a second, but we understand the offense is not going to be very good. Either the defense shows up tonight and potentially, quote-unquote, saves the season and maybe the era of Saints football, or they get embarrassed and it's kind of over, right?
Yeah, I think you could see a scenario where they lose 12-9.
Sure.
Like that's possible. Like they could come out and play a good game and still lose. But yeah, I mean, I think that's spot on. They're 32nd in the NFL in total defense right now. And yeah, they did a really good job with red zone defense the first 5 games of the year. But like, yeah, they're 2-4. And if they're 2-5, like we're talking like legitimate questions about the head coach. I mean, it's already popping up. Bobby Hebert's like kind of grilling Mickey Loomis about it, and Mickey Loomis is saying, "Look past the results." It's hard to look past the results. They're a couple games under 500 since the start of 2022 in this Dennis Allen era. And when you start talking about 5-game losing streaks, it'd be the first time they've done that in a long time. I guess they did it in 21 when they were also dealing with a bunch of injuries under Sean. They had Trevor Siemian starting at quarterback, but it's kind of crisis mode here. And there is a huge difference between 3-4 and 2-5, right? Like massive difference. Like this is a hugely important game to set up like that back half of the season where they've got like a manageable schedule. Like if they can't get through this one though, it's gonna make it really hard to make that matter.
No doubt. So let's talk about what goes on in the Dome tonight. You got Sean Payton coming back. Obviously, you got Drew Brees going to the Hall of Fame. Obviously, you've got Thursday Night Football. You've got a town that's feeling the way that it does about the Saints right now. I mean, what do you expect the environment to be like tonight?
I don't know, man. This feels like a game where there could be quite a few like Denver fans in attendance. I know they travel fairly well. Like this is like it always kind of strikes people, but like I mean, New Orleans is a destination town, and you start getting like these cold weather teams in October, November, December. Like they typically travel pretty well. So like I mean, I'm expecting a good atmosphere just because of who's all there. And, I'm sure like Saints fans have been looking forward to seeing Sean on the opposing sidelines and to either, give him honey or vinegar, whichever one they want to choose. But I do think that there's going to be a significant Broncos presence tonight, just because that's kind of how it's played out a little bit the last couple of years. I don't know. It's going to be a good atmosphere, but it might be good for the Broncos fans by the end of the game. I don't know. Like the last week, there was a ton of Tampa fans here, and obviously they were dealing with their own stuff in Southwest Florida. But by the end of the game, like the whole lower bowl was pretty much all red and pewter cheering on their team. I'm hoping that's not the case this week, because I'd like something more interesting to write about.
Yeah, we'll see. How do you think it goes tonight?
I picked the Saints to lose by 3 when I made my official predictions earlier. It's way too much to overcome on offense. And as much as I was impressed by Spencer Rattler last week and the poise he showed, I think this is a really, really difficult situation to drop a rookie quarterback into for his second career start. So I'm expecting a loss. We'll see what happens. Maybe I'm wrong.
Follow him on Twitter @by Luke Johnson. He'll be in the Dome tonight for Saints and Broncos. He's with us every single Thursday. Thanks, Luke.
My pleasure, man. Talk to you soon.
Hey, it's on. Thanks for watching Hunt on Saints. Before you leave, help us out a little bit. Hit that like button, leave your comments in the section below, and hit that subscribe button so you get all our content right here from Hunt on Saints. We'll see you next time.